Hey, good morning. You know what? I'm out hiking today. I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about depression. Today, this is my office. Okay, I'm actually here in the Highlands of Scotland, and I thought, you know, what a better place to have a visit. You know, we can have sessions anywhere, and I'm not saying this is a counseling session, but you know, this is my passion and this is my desire is to, my business is to help people overcome depression and anxiety and really challenge the traditional approach to mental health counseling. Because I always say, you know, therapy doesn't have to take a long time. So I just want to make this video here to kind of, you know, maybe reintroduce myself, okay? Because I have a heart to reach anyone who's struggling, okay? And you know, depression and anxiety can come from all forms. It can come from any area of your life. It can come from your workplace. It can come from your relationship. It can come from your health, okay? Poor health, or struggling with an illness or an injury or an accident. You know, depression is a manifestation of the symptoms that life brings, okay? From my counseling approach, let me talk about that for a little bit. I've been a mental health counselor for over 35 years. I worked for the state of Kansas for 14 years as a vocational rehabilitation counselor, working with individuals with all kind of functional limitations to employment. It was a very holistic approach. We would look at the person's lifestyle, their relationships, not just their physical or emotional limitation to employment. And our job was to help them get them back into an employment, gainful employment. So I did that for 14 years, and I felt called to do more. You know, I love my job at the state, but you know, red tape comes in, bureaucracy comes in, and I felt like I was starting to lose more and more of the counseling and just pushing more papers. So I decided to start moving towards private practice. So that was about a 6-year process where I got all my qualifications and everything lined up. Obviously, I was still restoring a home and raising kids at the same time, so it took a little bit of time, but it was so worth it. And since then, I've been in private practice ever since. It's over 22 years now. So, and again, I've worked with anything and everything, not to boast or anything. It's just, you know, any issue that comes our way, we're gonna jump into it. There's nothing we can't work with or work through. And that's what my counseling practice was called. New Hope Counseling is New Hope Counseling, because honestly, that is what everybody wants, is hope, okay? Because when we get to the point of depression or anxiety and we're living that, and that's our day-to-day life, where's the hope in that, right? So my desire was when people would come to me, they would see my, you know, obviously my sign, New Hope Counseling, and that's what hopefully we gave them. And we've had lots of successes, but we've had also lots of struggles and stuff too. That's life, right? But about 3 years ago, I started to wonder if there was more, okay? Which led me to starting my online business. And let me tell you, I've always had a couple books in the back of my brain, but I always tell folks it's kind of funny because life kept giving me chapters. Just when I think I got it all together, another chapter would come, and it's like, oh crap. To the point where eventually I put so much time and effort into the practice, into the kids, and which I tell you what, if you know me, my heart, I love my kids, and I was a hands-on dad, and I would not trade that for the world. But sadly, my marriage sacrificed the marriage, because we built a practice. My ex-wife was with me doing that. We worked really close. I would say we were really good co-workers and roommates, but you know, the love, the passion, and the vision really changed for both of us. So that ended in divorce. Sadly, I mean, that life happens, right? There's many of you out there who can relate to what I'm saying. Long story short, I lost everything. I went from having it all to what I call losing it all. Wow. I lost the building, I lost my home, I had to leave the home, leave the kids. I was living out of my my office, which was a old building there, and we were restoring in our hometown. And I remember living there for at least 3 months, just by myself, because I needed to figure this out. Okay, so I'm telling you this to be vulnerable, to be transparent, that we all have stuff. We all have stuff. So going on with that, you know, I struggled. I was like, why, how can I even counsel people if I can't keep my own family together, you know? But you know, it's what I would learn in my my exercise time. And this is, I mean, we'll get to this in a second, but that's where I really got my revelations, because I had all this anger, all this frustration, and I would just get it out. It was just like throwing up, okay? And once I did that, then the revelations would come, then the knowledge would come, then the lessons would come. And that was a very, very valuable time for me in my season of life, because heck, I would take what I would learn about myself, and in the next day in the session, I might bring that up in my session, and the client I was working with might look at me and go, wow, get out of my head, or how would you know that, Steve? I'm going, well, I'm going through it myself, you know? But that's the kind of counselor I am. I'm very open, very vulnerable, because that develops trust. And if you don't have trust with anybody, with any relationship, if you can't have trust and communication, you know, it's not going to work, or you're not going to go deep enough. Okay, and that's one thing I challenge everybody when they go find a therapist and they find a counselor. You have to connect with your counselor, because if you don't, you're only going to get so far. Okay. Anyway, so since then, since that time, I stayed in my private practice, obviously, and I eventually got custody of my youngest son, and it was awesome. We had a great time, and I still have a great relationship with my kids. It's amazing. But about 3 years ago, I clicked on an ad for a company called Entra, and because I had these books in my back of my brain, I always wanted to write a book because I wanted to do more. But this company said, we can take any idea and help you put it out there. And folks, I am not a techie. And when they said we could basically hold your hand to help develop this, I was like, I'm gonna give this a shot. It's been amazing. I never looked back. But what it did, it stretched me in ways that I thought, you know, I was, 58 at the time, 59, 58, something like that. I'm 61 now, living my best life, best shape. So it taught me it gave me the tools to be able to learn how to develop a website, develop funnels, develop the automation, but to take my style of counseling and put it into a program that I could reach thousands. And that's my dream, is to reach whoever, because there's a need out there. There's a need and there's options. So I took all my ideas and all the things I've heard from my clients over the years. You know, I don't have access to a client counselor. When I need somebody the most, they're not available. Or it might take 2 to 3 weeks or months before I can see my therapist again. And I see him for 50 minutes, and we might get a little bit of wisdom or a little bit of insight, or maybe some assignment, and then that's it. Then I have to wait another 2 weeks. But they go right back in their home dynamic, or their work, or whatever, or their head. And that's where the cycles just continue. And that's why therapy takes so long. So through this journey, I've developed my program called Stay Strong and Stay Focused. That's my brand name. And the reason why I called it that, because I was thinking, well, what kind of catchy name? What do I call this business, you know? And I remember when I was out, after I'd leave the house, I was living out of the office building. I would go down to there's a river, there's a running trail down there, and I didn't even like to run, but man, I would run. I'd do push-ups on the ground, or I would go to the jungle gym and do pull-ups, just some kind of activity, you know. But when I would come back, I mean, I was so struggling with anxiety and depression because my whole life was boom, okay? I had no idea. I always say, when have I been up here? I got moved to a new season and I don't know what to do. So that's where anxiety and depression can come in. But I always remembered, I keep telling myself, Steve, just stay strong and stay focused. Stay strong. Your kids still need you. Stay focused. Focus on what you are doing, which is being, at that point, the best father I could be. Out of the house. Again, folks, super difficult because I was always the hands-on dad. I was always there. And not to be there was, it was very difficult. So that's where it came up, and it kind of just rolled right out. Stay strong, say, yeah. It's kind of like the New Hope, my New Hope counseling. I'm just processing this right now for the first time, but I'm looking at this going, wow, I want people to look at my brand and go, stay strong and stay focused on what? Stay strong, how? Stay focused on what? That's what we do in the program. So anyway, so that's kind of where I've come from in my journey to this point right here. And this is my office, okay? I always dreamed of travel. My daughter is getting married and she lives over here. So I was like, wow, someday. And all of a sudden I'm sitting there going, wow, today's that day. Today is that day. All the work, all the struggles, you know, all the limiting beliefs. And I've had many in this new season. But I just wanted to reach out to kind of give you a baseline, or maybe to even reintroduce myself, if you don't know me, about who I am and what I want to do. My passion is to help people overcome anxiety, overcome depression. And if you're interested, please click the link below to learn more about the program, because I would love to help in any way I can. The beauty of this is I don't just address it from what I call a clinical approach. We can all get diagnoses. I mean, that's sad. For me, that's sad because the diagnosis puts a label, and the label, we tend to own that label, which can also allow us to justify our behaviors a lot of times, or the medications or whatever. And I haven't had not one client, not answer this question this way. I ask my clients if they're on medications. I said, you know, a lot of times they'll tell me and they say, well, Steve, I don't have a choice. I have this diagnosis. I have this condition. So therefore, my therapist, my psychiatrist have told me I got to be on this medication the rest of my life. And I say, is that what you want? And none of them said yes. Everyone said, well, no. So listen, I'm not saying just drop your medication right away. I'm not against medication. What I'm saying is there's other ways to deal with depression and anxiety outside of the traditional approach. So that's my mission. My mission is to be vulnerable, be open, so you get to know who I am. And I would love for you to reach out, comment below, or even just DM me if you have any questions, because I would love to reach out to have a visit with you if you're struggling. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to help. So I've really enjoyed this time, and I'm going to be putting a lot more out here. So be looking for more content. If you are interested, subscribe, and we'd love to see you again soon. So take care, be blessed, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.